Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap, your nightly news podcast on all the news that I come across throughout the day, giving you my take as somebody who aspires to be a politician in the near future. Hopefully, all you guys are doing wonderful. Hopefully, all you guys are well. Today is the 5th of February, and it is Thursday today. Hopefully, all you guys are having a wonderful week so far. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. All the support we really appreciate it as we are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by this summer. And if you're on Substack, please consider subscribing as well. It's $8 a month, and all funds go to me. Helps me pay for the things I need to pay for in my life, like my groceries, clothing, and all of that. Outside of that, hopefully all you guys are doing wonderful. And before we get into today's episode, I would just like to remind you all there will not be any episodes this weekend. My apologies for that. I am unfortunately just quite a bit busy. I'm hosting a little Super Bowl party and hanging out with some friends and stuff. But videos will return on Monday. Again, my apologies. I hate to not record. I really do. It makes me feel horrendous, but I really just don't have time to fill it in, unfortunately. Outside of that, though, hopefully all you guys are doing amazing. And let's get into today's episode. Moving on into our headlines in history, the topic we have for today is the Independence Hall is losing the Liberty Bell. This is from February 5th, 1972. Plans were announced to move the Liberty Bell from the lobby of Philadelphia's Independence Hall, which has sheltered it for more than 2 centuries, 2 blocks east to the Independence National Historical Park. The move was necessary to accommodate crowds expected for the 1976 bicentennial, if I could speak, celebration. The Times reported the bell was originally installed in 1753 and told to proclaim liberty throughout all of the land in 1776 and on other momentous occasions. Only in the late 1830s, through promotion and anti-slavery movement, did the bell become known as the Liberty Bell. Of course, that's the history behind the Liberty Bell, which is a very important symbol for the United States, one that really isn't very popular in my opinion. At least I don't think the Liberty Bell is the most popular symbol when it comes to the United States, especially for people outside the United States. When you think of America, what do you think of for symbols? Like the Statue of Liberty, maybe the US dollar, which I guess the Liberty Bell is on. I don't remember which dollar is on, but I believe it's on one of the dollars. And outside of all of that, there are definitely more popular symbols, but the Liberty Bell does definitely have an important part of U.S. history and an interesting part of U.S. history. So that's that. But anyways, let's move into the topics we have for today. Moving on into the Trump administration segment as we do. The first topic we have today is Trump and his administration are investigating Puerto Rican voting machines. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence has announced it has obtained voting machines from Puerto Rico and intends on examining them for possible security vulnerabilities. Puerto Rican authorities voluntarily handed over these machines, and this is being overseen by Tulsi Gabbard and follows calls from Trump to nationalize elections and have the federal government get involved with those elections. This doesn't shock me at all. If I were Puerto Rico in this situation, I really would just want to be left alone by this administration. And of course, giving away voter rolls is something no voter really wants. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, Puerto Rico is not treated the greatest, being a territory rather than a state. It gets a lot less representation. It gets a lot less of a voice, which is truly, truly stupid to me. I've thought this for a very long time, and I've said this for a very long time, even before I've made videos on here. Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States, and it has 3 million people living there, more than Wyoming. Wyoming has over 500,000 people in the state, right? Puerto Rico should be a state, especially with the movements there from the people who support that idea. I believe, over 50% of Puerto Ricans, at least, maybe not now, but at least a few years ago when I was doing the research on this, supported joining the United States. Not to mention, with all the movement right now in this country about, a 51st state, why don't we invite, a territory that has wanted statehood for a while, that has these people that need this representation? You'd think that would be a no-brainer. Unfortunately, it's not, because it would give Democrats another state. I mean, if you look at the voter rolls, that Puerto Rico very overwhelmingly voted for Kamala Harris in the election, right? But at the end of the day, it's also the same thing with Washington, D.C., right? It's this large area of the country that doesn't have a voice, that isn't really represented. And that needs to change. I believe that Washington, D.C. should be a state without a doubt. I believe all the people living there should be representative, just as I believe Puerto Rico should be a state without a doubt. And if we're not going to allow Puerto Rico to be a state, why not let them be independent? I have nothing wrong with that either. But I think if we're if we're going to actively be controlling the territory, and if it meets the criteria to become a state, I think it's stupid to block it from not doing so. Anyways, moving on into our next segment, Trump is looking to start a new nuclear treaty. Trump has taken to True Social looking to develop a new nuclear treaty between the countries around the world. In this post, he wrote, "The United States is the most powerful country in the world. I completely rebuilt its military in my first term, including new and many refurbished nuclear weapons. I also added the Space Force and now continue to rebuild our military at levels never seen before. We are even adding battleships to which are 100 times more powerful than the ones that roamed the seas during World War II. The Iowa, Missouri, Alabama, and others. I have stopped nuclear wars from breaking out across the world between Pakistan and India, Iran and Israel, and Russia and Ukraine, rather than extend the New START, a badly negotiated deal by the United States, aside from everything else, is being grossly violated. We should have our nuclear experts work on a new and improved and modernized treaty that can last long into the future. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump." This is definitely interesting. Nuclear weapons are definitely still a big issue around the world, and there's a lot of questions and a lot of issues that still come with them. I have a lot of issues with nuclear weapons. I really don't think that it's necessary to have a bomb like that. At the end of the day, like that is something that is going to kill so many people. And, I understand the aspect of having it for a defense standpoint, and to keeping the country safe. But I truly do believe that the world would be so much better off if we had no nuclear weapons at all. And I really doubt that that is a hot take. I think that is an opinion of many people throughout the world, right? I don't know that a new nuclear treaty is also going to fix the issues that we have right now. I mean, let's be real. One of the main countries that causes a lot of issues and causes a lot of questions with nukes is Israel. And, they're not in any nuclear treaty. They're not under any nuclear treaty. They're not under any regulations, under any laws. We don't even know how many nukes Israel has, right? And if we really wanted to deal with the issue, we would make sure that Israel is being regulated, but it's not. And does a new nuclear treaty make sure that Israel is regulated? Because if it does, sure, that's a great thing. All countries with nuclear bombs should be regulated. But like, if we want to solve the problems, we should start recognizing where the problems are at. And unfortunately, with how this country works, I don't think that we're going to recognize that Israel is, in all honesty, the problem. Anyways, moving on into our next topic, Trump is planning to reclassify tens of thousands of federal workers, firing them if they don't agree. Around 50,000 federal workers will now be easier to fire and lose their ability to appeal disciplinary action. The Office of Personnel Management has issued a final rule on schedule policy career. This new classification, once implemented, will exempt tens of thousands of federal employees in policy influencing positions from civil service protections. Trump officials say this allows them to improve employee accountability and address performance management challenges. I feel like that there is no way that this is legal or at all okay. I'm sure they're doing this because of some loophole that allows them to do this, but it really seems wild. Not to mention, this like takes away these workers' civil service protections, which is kind of crazy. I don't think that that is okay. It's not okay at all, actually. And to me, it just seems like there has to be something illegal about that, right? If I'm a federal employee right now, I would be working to try and with lawyers to see what we can do and to try and figure out something, because it doesn't seem like this is okay. It is an attack on the rights of not just federal workers, but really all workers, because they're taking away, the rights of these employees, which they shouldn't be doing in the first place. We shouldn't be taking away the rights of the workers. I mean, that's just anti-workforce. I mean, it really is. Anyways, moving on into our segment about the Epstein files, a Wall Street boss has resigned after the Epstein files release. Brad Karp, a longtime chair of the Wall Street law firm Paul West, has resigned from his role due to scrutiny after the Epstein file release. In a statement released from the firm, Karp said that the recent reporting had created a distraction that wasn't in the firm's best interest. Karp regularly attended dinners with Epstein and even got assistance from Epstein to get his son in a job in a Woody Allen film. I struggled so hard to say that earlier, and I still cannot say that. I had to do like 5 TikTok takes because I kept messing up the name Woody Allen. It was bad, and I still can't say it. But hey, there has been quite a bit of fallout because of the Epstein files released recently. You've seen and heard of a handful of people, losing their jobs, which doesn't shock me. That's what's been expected, right? I mean, I would hope that people involved with Epstein in the case will lose their job and go to prison. Unfortunately, we haven't seen the second part yet, but prison also really is the bare minimum. I said this yesterday. I think that we should bring back public hangings for everyone involved with the Epstein case. Don't think that's a hot take. These people literally touched and ate children, guys. Like, come on. At the end of the day, like, if we're going to bring it back for something, I don't think people who, were involved in one of the largest human trafficking cases ever is the worst thing to bring it back for. I think, in fact, human trafficking is honestly, one of the most reasonable things to bring that back for, right? I don't think anyone should stand for human trafficking. I would hope that nobody does, but hey, that's just the world we live in, unfortunately. And that's why people involved with Epstein existed, and those people involved should have an example made out of them. We should make it very clear to everyone else in the world that if you're doing something like this, you're done, buddy. No more for you. That's an opinion I have held for a very long time, and it's an opinion I will continue to hold. Anyone who touches a child should not be allowed to breathe, and I will stand by that. I think it is disgusting. Anyways, moving on into our other news topic for tonight. The highest layoff numbers have been hit since January of 2009. The layoffs in January of this year have hit their highest since January of 2009, with 108,000 job cuts during the month, according to Challenger and Gray Christmas. This is a 118% increase from last year and a 205% jump from December of 2025. The sectors mostly impacted include transportation, tech companies, and the healthcare industry. Unfortunately, this number is also going to keep rising, right? And it's just the case. It's what we've seen, since the start of this administration. Sure doesn't feel like we're great yet, does it? But like, the job market is horrible right now. I'm going to be completely honest, and this makes it even worse. Take it from me. I have been looking and searching for a job for the past few months at this point, and I just have not been able to find one or land an interview. It's not been the greatest. It really hasn't. And just as it was when I was in high school, the job market sucks in this country. It really does. I would love to see a change to that soon. I'm sure we all would. I'm really sure we all would, but I don't think we're going to see that under this administration, because jobs and job numbers have really only gone down since the start. Anyways, moving on into our final topic for tonight, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has confirmed that Trump will get your tax dollars if he wins the lawsuit against the IRS. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has confirmed that if Trump wins the $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS, he will get your tax dollars. When Bessent was asked where the money would come from, he said the Treasury General Account, which holds taxpayer dollars that come from a variety of taxes. Bessent was asked if Trump or anyone in the administration had spoken to him or anyone close to him on the lawsuit, to which he said they had not. Bessent then reiterated that Trump claims to be planning on donating the money if he wins the lawsuit, but it's unclear what he would be donating that money to. I love the idea that the president is taking money from the American people. Isn't that great, guys? Really, really such a wonderful thing. Love it. Of course, I'm being completely sarcastic there. And I don't know what to say here. I really don't. This is blatant robbery of the American people, right? It's a lawsuit that is being done because Trump had information leaked. And sure, that speaks to the problem that there is with information leaks within the federal government. That's a big issue. But at the end of the day, like, that leak also wasn't the worst thing, right? And my computer just turned off. I don't know why. It's because I haven't touched it in too long. But hey, like, I really just, this is blatant robbery of the American people. He is taking American taxpayer dollars here. And if he donates it, great. But is he going to? And if he does, is it going to be something that benefits the American people? I highly doubt it, right? It's probably going to be something that benefits his own cause, like maybe the ballroom or something else like that, right? Outside of that, though, thank you all for watching today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed it. It's definitely been a very interesting day in the news world, that is for sure. If you're new here, though, please consider subscribing. All the support would greatly appreciate it as we are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by this summer. And if you're on Substack, please consider subscribing as well. It's $8 a month. All funds go to me. Helps me pay for the things that I need to pay for in my life, like my groceries, clothing, and all of those kinds of things. Outside of that, though, thank you all so much for watching. Just as a reminder, won't be any episodes this weekend, but there will be one tomorrow, of course. And outside of that, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in tomorrow's episode.